Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Don Amiche. Hopefully you guys have been listening to me on KBLA here in Los Angeles. Make sure you download the KBLA app. If you haven't had a chance to do that, I want to make sure you download the app. Make sure you follow us on all socials. We're giving away $500 right now, and all you got to do is download the app and listen for the or watch out for the push notifications to come to your phone. They're going to ask you a bunch of questions about the radio station. But thank you to everybody who's been not only supporting me over the past decade here in Los Angeles, but also supporting Tavis Smiley and KBLA as we come forward. I had the pleasure to talk to this amazing woman. Her name is Bianca Gibson. She's online at I think on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, and I'll put the socials up here so you can follow her also. But she talks about a lot of healing about through healing through your trauma and trying to help you foster a very safe and healthy relationship. Matter of fact, let's bring Bianca in. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Your video went viral, and I was just I was like, wow, she's whatever you're selling, I'm buying. I loved it. It's amazing. Now, Bianca is she's a serial entrepreneur, which I've seen. She's a mother of four beautiful kids. But most important, she's a social and emotional wellness speaker with a special focus on practical healing. She has two workshops right now that can help you discover who you are and in your purpose, and also uncover childhood traumas. So thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate you taking the time out here. I love it when a woman speaks a man's language, but I think your communication is coming just on a whole different level. I think that we as men and women don't really understand how to dialogue with each other. We know how to talk at each other, but we don't know how to really communicate. But let's get into your workshops real quick. So discovering who you are in your purpose. We hear that word a lot. A lot of people talking about, are you living in your purpose? Are you doing your purpose? How does one even find their purpose to sit there and say, I was put on this earth to do X, Y, and Z? Because I think you're living in your purpose right now.
I think in order to find your purpose, you have to first address the first issue, which is knowing who you are. Once you have a really good foundation of knowing who you are, and you'll then discover your gifts and your talents, the things that just come natural to you, that you have joy in, that people say, dang, you did that and you really didn't have an effort. Those are the gifts and talents that we are naturally given by our creator. And those are the things that kind of propel you to your purpose. Your purpose usually is in something that is giving back to humanity. But it also still benefits you because it gives you joy, it gives you peace. It seems like it's effortless. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I usually instruct people how to find their purpose. Is usually rooted in their gifts and their talents, and it helps other people as well as blesses them.
I look deep down inside to myself, and I look through. At my core, my DNA is I love to give. It makes me feel good to give. But I don't know how that would carry on into purpose. I don't know, but maybe I guess acts of service, or maybe I need to be out in the community helping.
Well, you're operating in your gift right now. You have the ability to speak. Not everybody has the ability to speak, and the purpose is, in your purpose, how are you helping other people, along in their life? So your gift of speaking and being able to put something positive back into someone's life is your purpose, because our whole purpose, when we help others, it actually helps us as well. So when you heal others, you heal yourself as well.
Yeah, I always try to reconcile where I am in life is that it may not be the most exciting place that for me, but I believe that God has placed me in this position right now to affect other people's lives. I may not even know what I'm doing or how I'm doing or if I'm having an effect, but I know that I am where I'm supposed to be because I couldn't have got here any other way.
Yes.
You have that's one workshop you have. You have another one called Uncovering Childhood Traumas. Mm-hmm. And I think this is something that is extremely important, that we carry our trauma with us and we may not even recognize it. Like my trauma comes from, I was placed in foster care at a very young age. I went to go live I was in group homes, living with my aunt and uncle during a very transformative time in my life. And so I recognized that because I was absent from my mother in these foreign places, that I felt like a third wheel. And so to this day, as a grown man, it's hard for me to receive things. It's hard for me to have all this attention placed upon me because when I was younger, I kind of just felt like I needed to keep myself out of the way, or don't cause too much trouble, or don't make a fuss over me, because that's the way I felt when I was taken away from my mother and placed with other people. They couldn't love me the way my mother loved me, and so that stuff is carried over into adulthood. Some stuff I've been trying to work on, and uncover, but it took me a while to even realize that
Yes.
the level of trauma that I'm carrying along with me and dealing with. I remember I used to have bad panic attacks, and it wasn't until I went to therapy about a decade or so ago that I started kind of working through these troubles and these traumas and trying to heal from them. So it's important. It's a very great workshop that you have of uncovering your childhood traumas. But like, how does one know? Like me, I tried to go do the work to just figure out what was wrong with me. How do you wake somebody up and says you might have childhood traumas that you may need to address?
So typically in this type of workshop, what we do is people are easily triggered. We can easily acknowledge what maybe our irritants or things that make us angry or our unmet needs. And when you identify unmet needs, then you start to uncover some of the lies that we've taught ourselves, or that our subconscious programming because of trauma that we have not addressed, or that we don't even understand, that is operating in the background of our mind, what we're believing. So for instance, you mentioned about your situation and having a hard time receiving. I had that same situation in my life where I didn't feel worthy. So I had to go back to, what made me feel like I wasn't worthy enough to receive, but I was always giving. And so then I had to drill down to different specific incidents in my childhood where my parents made me feel as though, I wasn't worthy enough to receive love. And that's what that trauma had me believing. So once you are able to identify unmet needs, whether it's in your relationships with a mate, or relationships with your coworkers or friends, and you notice that you get upset in certain situations, and we can step by step look at the situations and uncover the root of why you're angry, and then get beyond the angry to the vulnerable message. Do I not feel loved? Do I not feel enough? Do I not feel accepted? Do I not feel secure? Do I feel abandonment or betrayal? Those deep core vulnerable feelings are things that we automatically run away from. And the reason being is because in our subconscious mind as a child, we were unable to handle those hardcore feelings.
Hmm.
So what our brain did was it automatically sent us to the feelings of anger, so that we would either fight or flight.
Right.
And so what we try to do in this workshop is to acknowledge the anger and then get beyond that phase to the vulnerable issues of how did that situation make us feel. And then once we are able to pull that piece of the puzzle back and see what lie we were told and our defense mechanism in our subconscious to protect us, like, okay, you feel abandoned, so you want to act this way or avoid that person. Now we can then put the truth of that situation and say, this person may not be avoiding you, or they may not be not calling you because they don't love you. Maybe they just were busy during the day, and come up with different ways to address those negative thought patterns and behaviors, and put strategies in place to reprogram our way of thinking.
I had to do that when I was about a decade or so ago, and I don't think a lot of people really understand that that they are doing negative self thought on a consistent basis. And it's one thing for the world to tell you you aren't good enough, but it's another thing when you're constantly reinforcing that every 5 minutes
Yes.
in your mind, and you literally have to stop that. And I don't think people are really doing understand that they know that they're doing it consciously. It's just that they've had very few victories in life or very few nurturing, that they feel that bad things are supposed to happen to them, and
Mhm.
that they constantly think, oh, well, you know what, I'm not going to get this job I just interviewed for because I never get the job, or this guy's going to dump me because he's going to find out I'm a fraud and all this other stuff,
Mhm.
and getting past that. But it's hard. It's very hard to try to tell people to kind of wake up a little bit or really kind of be more present in your life, because they are so just ruled by their subconscious, and that they can't, that they don't know any different. you know
Yeah.
it, it got to the point where I was feeling physical ailments to where I was seeking out information, but I was at the end of my rope.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are at the end of the rope to where they want to go behind the initial reaction that you were talking about and see what the trauma cause is behind it, that says we need to address this back over here because it's leading to you being frustrated.
Well, what they have done is they have become content with, operating in a trauma state, a coping mechanism.
Right.
And so that coping mechanism, to them, they see it as a positive result because, okay, this person did me wrong, I just cut them off. In their mind, that is the solution, but that's really not the solution, because how many people are you going to cut off? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you
Before
going
you
to
cut
live your
everybody
life
off.
cutting everybody off?
Yeah.
And so until they start to recognize that this is not maybe the healthiest way to deal with these issues, these coping mechanisms, they have to first recognize that in order to seek to change it.
Right. Yeah, you're absolutely right, though. I think a lot of people, I've gotten into, I used to cut people off with the quickness. I've gotten more to the point of reconciling and trying to fix relationships. And if you don't want to fix them and you want to still fight, then I kind of cut you off. I move past it.
Mhm.
If you're not trying to heal or reconcile our disagreement or whatever, then I can't stay stuck in this land of craziness with you. I got to move on.
Mhm.
But I love you, and it's all that. All right, so let's get down to relationships. You talk about, we teach people to lie to us, which is, that was a nice little nugget there. How am I or you or anybody else teaching people to lie to us?
Well, that's a great question. The main way we teach people how to lie to us is when someone is in their vulnerable state and they tell us how they really feel about whatever the situation is, or, we ask them to open up to us. And then when they do, we respond with a negative way, like, oh my goodness, I can't believe you feel that way. And that's not really what happened. We're teaching them, when we respond that way and not really accepting, okay, this person, and honoring that they came to us and they were vulnerable, then we're teaching them, well, I can't deal with the truth. So I need you to tell me a lie because that was too sharp, or that was too direct. So I didn't like that. So that's one
Wait,
of the
wait,
main
on the
ways.
on the receiving end or the person sharing the information, or both?
So it's both, because we might say, okay, I want you to be honest with me. Like, for example, I might say, instead of cheating on me, why don't you just tell me? That way I have an opportunity to, up and go. But somebody come to me and be like, my man comes to me and say, I don't think the relationship is working out, and I've been seeing somebody else. And then I go off cursing him out and da 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 da.
Right.
I'm basically telling him, I really didn't want you telling me that. You know what I mean? And so I rathered him to lie to me and keep me in this sense of comfort of a lie, and keep doing what we're doing and dysfunction, than to tell me that I'm having a relationship with another person.
But how does one receive the fact? Let's say me and you are together. I come to you and say, "Listen, Bianca, I'm seeing somebody else while we're together." How are you supposed to handle that information? At
Well,
the end of the day, I mean, because that's not a. There is a mature response to that, but it's also a hurtful one. Like, oh
oh
my God, you're telling
yes,
me something that's hurting me right now.
of course. So, no one can tell you exactly how to respond when something happens, because we have automatic, emotional,
Yeah.
responses. However, what we try to do, or at least in training people to do, is to be able to receive the information, acknowledge how you're feeling, okay, and then be able to effectively communicate how you feel to that person, whatever the information they gave you. And then you have to decide how to move forward. So in that particular incident, if someone came to me and you and I in a relationship and you're like, hey, I've been seeing somebody else, it's not working out, I can say, I appreciate you telling me that, but I wish you would have let me know before you stepped out in our relationship, because right now I feel as though I have no choice. You didn't give me a choice in our situation, and I feel violated, and that hurts my feelings.
So are you saying that we need to operate more so not out of emotion when dealing with situations?
Exactly.
But take a beat, take a pause, take a second, and I need to operate with an emotionless mind so that I am not just reacting to someone's thing, but also kind of taking my time to process.
Yes.
What do I want to do with this situation and move past it?
Yes, because when it's not proper to say that you can't operate in emotions, because your emotions are there like a fire alarm. Your emotions are there to signal to you there's something wrong. Right. And just like a fire alarm, you don't know where the issue may lay, but there's something wrong. So then you have to go to the next level and look around the house and say, okay, where's the issue at? There's fire somewhere. Right. So you don't ignore your emotions. The emotions are there, and it's to let you know, okay, there's an issue. But once you start acknowledging your emotions, then you have to ask yourself, and this can happen, the time frame and how this happens. What we do in these workshops is teach you how to do it. And you might be slow at first, but it becomes something that happens pretty quickly. You told me the information. I sense my temperature rising. I feel my emotions of hurt, anger, whatever it is. Now I got to go in my mind and say, okay, why am I feeling this way? Is it because he violated my trust? Is it because I already knew we had problems and I knew he was doing something and he's telling me, what is it, just that, or is it more than that? Or is it because I really love him and I want to stay in this relationship, but now I feel like my hands are tied because now I can't trust them? Do these trust issues even run deeper? All these different things you have to kind of process in that period of time. And if you need more time to process it without cussing somebody out or letting your emotions go on overdrive, because what happens is if you let your emotions go on overdrive, the brain shuts down. Mm-hmm. Scientifically, your emotions take a control and it shuts down and the logic doesn't come into play. So then you start making erratic decisions.
Because you're emotional.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So we're kind of on cheating. Is cheating a deal breaker for relationships? I mean, can you survive that?
I honestly believe that there's many people who can survive cheating. Because some people can use cheating as a situation to, dang, I finally stop pretending. You know what I mean? Let's deal with the real issues. You know what I mean? They finally get to that breaking point, and unfortunately, cheating is that way of getting there.
It's a catalyst of I've been feeling some type of way in a relationship, and it's causing me to step outside. We're at a pivotal point. Can we address what I'm feeling? And also address why I'm stepping outside personally.
Yeah.
At the same time too. But that's a hard stop for a lot of people to overcome.
Because you got to ask the question as to, well, why couldn't you bring that to my attention before you stepped out? You know what I mean? And so, but a lot of people, we live in the sense of we pretend, we feel like it's easier for us to pretend than it is for us to be honest. And so I think there's so many different things to address. For some people, cheating is the deal breaker, because you could have came to me, or if I came to you and said, okay, can we go to counseling? Can we do all these things? And you still step out instead of just saying, hey, let's just call it quits. Like, why didn't you make that decision afterwards? So there's so many different aspects.
Do you feel that a lot of people are in healthy relationships? Or is it
I think the statistics already show that, especially with divorce rate. No.
Yeah, I was looking at divorce. They said somebody gets divorced in the United States like every 29 or 39 seconds, which is very interesting. Um, what do you think? Obviously, something's going on in relationships in this country to where people are not choosing to stick together or they're not taking it serious. What do you think is the biggest mistake that people run into when they get into a relationship with somebody that they may not be compatible with? Like, if two people come together, can they make themselves compatible? If it starts off on a lust basis, can you evolve into an intimacy type situation? Or do we need to sit there as when we are looking for potential mates, say, you know what, I see things in you that are not going to work for me. Is that what we need to do? Like, is it because I want to get to the point of why we are not having successful relationships and why marriage doesn't last in this country.
It's simple. I think it's very simple. We live in a fake world. Everything around us is fake, right?
Right.
So we pretend. We get people's what do they call it? We get their
The representative.
representative. We get
Yeah.
their representative, and we're used to pretending. So the reason why relationships aren't lasting is because in that dating phase, you aren't really being your true, authentic self. You're trying to be this image of what you think that person is wanting and accepting. You're trying to say all the right words. And then when you notice different things as you guys get more comfortable, you're not speaking up about it because you're afraid of what somebody may say or how it might hurt their feelings or what have you. And I believe if you are just honest and transparent, so much of the communication breakdown, the reason why relationships don't last is because people are not honest. The way you talk to your boys about your relationship, why can't you have that same conversation and give her the real deal?
Well, it's interesting. It's interesting, but there takes a level of vulnerability.
Yes, nobody wants to be vulnerable.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why do people not want to be vulnerable with each other? I mean,
It's
is
the
it like I don't want to get hurt, or I don't want it's insecurity?
it's the same issue that I mentioned before. It's the subconscious programming. It's the same thing I mentioned in a video about how when a woman comes to a man about what's the deepest things on her heart or a concern, usually men will kind of turn the eye and be like, oh, she's complaining, she's nagging, because we have a hard time getting into deep, vulnerable feelings. We've been taught to run away from those and avoid it and pretend that we live this happy fairy tale life to stay in this positive realm when really we're fake pretending.
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you a question. You talk about a lot of things. You talk about homosexuality, which is a very interesting thing. Are we born this way, and is it a choice? And you say it's a little bit of both.
Yes.
How? Now, I always look at homosexuality I mean, who would want to live a gay lifestyle compared to how people would treat you in this country? So it's got to be something you're born with. Like, I don't know if you could choose to be gay. I mean, but I don't know. I know there's no gay gene. And I've done a lot of deep diving into trying to figure out what this is. But you also talk about that this may be trauma that's in the DNA that's been floating down through generations that is causing someone to be homosexual.
So I actually did a really, I felt very detailed video about this because I incorporate both science and biblical truth. Some people don't want to hear biblical truth, but we all have to acknowledge that we are both physical and spiritual. So to take
Mhm.
away the spiritual aspect of who we are, it's there's fallacy in that. So in my presentation of the issue of homosexuality, I first want to say I have much love for the LGBT community. This is in no way to tear anyone down or anything like that. It's a mature conversation of what you
Yeah.
know how we view these issues. And in
Right.
my opinion, a person can be born gay, not scientifically necessarily, but the way I explain it is that the Bible says that we are all born into sin and shaped into iniquity. Homosexuality in the Bible is called a sin, and it's no different than a sin of lying, stealing, cheating. Pride, gluttony it's a sin. So if we take that scripture that we can be born into sin and shaped into iniquity, then someone can be in fact born gay. Now, how does that relate if the science doesn't have a gay gene? Well, I talk about trauma. Science has proven that we can pass down trauma and it can alter our DNA. It can make a chemical imprint. And we also know that trauma actually causes grooves and neural pathways in our brain. So if you've had a trauma of maybe molestation, or like for my situation, and I have my own personal testimony when it comes to this issue. My mother her father murdered her mom in front of her at the age of 7. She had a lot of hatred.
Your mother's father murdered your grandmother.
Yes.
In front of her. Yikes.
Yes. So she opened the door to her dad. Her dad came in, shot her mom 7 times. And so she had a hatred for men. And so I believe that is a generational curse that she passed down to us, whether she demonstrated that in action or, in words, it was passed down. Now, the Bible talks about generational curses. It also talks about how we pass on sins to from our forefathers and our ancestors on and on, generation to generation. So science talks about this trauma being passed, and the Bible talks about trauma being passed. Now, if a person didn't have trauma for let's just say they didn't have trauma, how is it still passed on? Again, we're born into sin. So even if a trauma did not occur, the Bible talks about us having spirits in our family, spirit of pride, the spirit of, sexual impurity, all these different things. So if you don't want to consider the spiritual notion of this issue, then you can kind of write it off and say, well, it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't really make sense on the scientific side either.
Do you think that these are demons inside of us that occupy us?
I don't think they're demons inside of us. So let's, because I don't want nobody taking this nitpick and running with it. Right. So we operate, the Bible talks about there's being spiritual, we live in a spiritual world that we cannot see. Right. And there's different spiritual beings, whether it's familiar spirits. You have people who are psychics and mediums that will tell you they talk to familiar spirits, demonic entities, whatever. There's multiple different levels. It's a whole level, right? Mm-hmm. So we can be influenced by these spirits. We're told that these spiritual beings actually influence politics, governments, entities. Mm-hmm. So if they're impacting us, it's kind of, I relate it to bacteria. We can't see bacteria, but bacteria is all around us. It affects us. So we have to wash our hands, right? So these unseen forces, we don't have to necessarily be fearful of them, but they can affect us in a negative way. We just have to be aware of how they operate and how we allow them to influence us or not.
How do we wash our souls and keep ourselves pure and protected from these bacteria that are around us? Like, how does one do that? Is that with spirituality?
So yes, there's many different, schools of thought. Now, I come from the Christian perspective, but you have many people who believe, in New Age theory and, spiritualism, and they have their sage and all these other things to ward off these bad spirits. But from the Christian perspective, we believe that Jesus Christ coming into the world and dying for our sins, he destroyed and took away all powers from these unseen forces, these principalities and powers and wicked forces that we know. And the Bible says we do not fight with flesh and blood, but with spiritual powers that we cannot see. So he won that war for us. And by accepting him as our personal Lord and Savior, then we're able to step in that truth and apply all the resources that he gives us in his word to be able to fight off these entities and influences.
Interesting. I want to play this this video that popped up for you. I'm sorry, not popped up for you, but it popped up this weekend. I'm always scouring a bunch of websites looking for stuff to talk about on the radio. And I just want to get your take, and maybe you can offer this couple some advice. Let me find this video. The name of this video was "Porn Messed Up Our Marriage," and I just. I just want to get your talk. This is a guy. They're on a podcast now. I think there are certain things that you should not do in public. Number one is embarrass your wife and divulge too much of your bedroom behavior or what negative effects are going on in your bedroom. It's one thing to share positive things, but it's another thing to bitch to the public about what's going on. But I just want to get your take on this couple, the woman in the red shirt and the gentleman next to her. They're married, and he's complaining about, I guess, the lack of sex and or issues that they're having in their relationship. And I just want to see if you can offer some advice. So here we go.
Like, this is the kind of shit I'm going through at 36 years old. My wife can't even come in the room and say, nigga, I want to fuck you, make love to you. I mean, she can't do it. She is not capable.
But maybe that's what she was saying at some certain factors, though.
This is what he wants. He wants me to talk it out as far as saying, like, just like he just said. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't talk like that. You know what I'm saying? Since he ever known me, he know I've never did that. Right?
Cap. That's the new word. Cap.
This is what they do. This is exactly what they do. I've seen them. This is what they do.
You hear that? She used to watch porn.
Yeah, a long time ago. Before I transitioned, I did. I sure did. Yes.
Everything's from porn now. Everything's from porn.
This is exactly what it is, and this is what's wrong with men and women today, especially marriages, porn. Because of the simple fact that men would get that stuff in their head to the point where they will cause that stuff to get in them, and then they want to bring it off on their wife, not their girlfriend, not some tramp and not some hoe, but their wife. No, that's not how you do it. You get that stuff so deep in your head to the point where it got you wanting to do your wife the same thing, the same image that you seeing on the porn, you're doing to your wife, and your wife is not feeling it.
Why we watching porn, Derm? Because we ain't get no pussy at home, that's why.
I'm not gonna lie though. I feel like if you're married, that's when y'all should be at your nastiest.
You feel me?
Like,
what is it?
Because if you're in it for,
she rather
if you're in it for
me go
life,
cheat on her ass than watch porn. Because it's what I'm getting at this point.
Because see,
is that what you getting?
See, my thing is,
that's not what I'm getting.
If you're in,
what am I supposed to do?
What I'm getting is not to do it the same way.
What the am I supposed to do if you ain't? You don't want me to watch porn? What you want me to do?
I didn't say not watch this. I said don't bring it to me.
I shouldn't even have. Look, at the end of the day,
don't bring it. I'm not that person, so don't.
Your wife is supposed to sustain. Your wife is supposed to satisfy your needs, and you supposed to satisfy her needs. I shouldn't even be wanting to watch no goddamn porn. I should be exhausted. Like, I ain't got no nothing to give porn. My wife done took all the energy I got. But we got so much energy because your wife won't you at all. It goes to fucking porn. And then you get mad when we bring shit back in the bedroom.
All right. So there's a lot going on in that relationship.
A lot.
From my point, it's a very immature man. I saw a woman that seems like she's dealing with some type of sexual trauma. These two obviously don't even know how to communicate effectively with her. And the other couple did make a point: when you're married, you should be at your nastiest. You should have a healthy sexual relationship with your partner that I can't keep my hands off you type love. Mm-hmm. But what was your takeaway, and what advice could you offer this couple? Because there's a bunch of stuff going on.
There's so much stuff. I'm like, where do I even begin?
I see a frustrated man, which may lead to cheating. I see a woman who is hung up on sex, and it sounds like she views it as dirty. There's lack of communication between the two of them, and I used to be kind of like that guy. There's also a level of expectation of sex from your partner that you first of all, you shouldn't even have. Your woman should want to make love to you, not something to be demanded. And so I don't know, what's your take off of that?
So let's first begin. There's a ton of issues there, but we have to remember that usually every issue comes up from unmet needs.
Right.
Period. So when you look at the unmet need, you have to also then figure out, okay, what is the unmet need saying to me about myself? So for him, that unmet need of her not fulfilling his sexual needs might be communicating to him that Maybe something's wrong with me. Maybe my loins ain't working, operating, which is then making him feel less of a man. That's why he got to look at pornography in his mind to make him feel like he's more of a man. So you got to look at those things. And whereas with her, she might have some issues of unmet need, feeling that she's valued. Like, why do you have to look at pornography in order to, you know, feel like you could be with me sexually? You know what I mean? Like, why are you expecting me to perform these things that these people in this pornography, I'm not them. So what? Am I not good enough? You have so many different dynamics going on. And the root problem is marriage is supposed to be sacred. And so when you start adding other people into it, and that includes porn, it already starts to break down the fundamental part of the stability of what marriage is supposed to be.
Interesting. You're not supposed to put porn into your relationship, as it's not a tool.
So again, for me, when I look at biblically, you can't intermix that, especially when you look at statistics and the negative effects of porn. There's so many negative effects of porn. It actually shows that it actually prevents you all from erecting more often. I mean, there's so many different negative effects. So you have to ask, if you're bringing this into your marriage, what is the benefit do you think it's going to have to your marriage?
It makes a good question. I do think that there are unhealthy relationships that I think men have with adult content that can negatively affect them, because they're always looking for something more and more and more and more outrageous.
Yeah. When are you going to get pleased?
When are you going to get pleased? And then it gets to the point where normal sex is not like enough. You know, I've got to be, you know, putting you in a chokehold and you know,
got to have a threesome.
Gotta have a threesome. But I do think that if you are responsible with adult content, that I think it could be a great tool in the bedroom. Not to, you know what I'm saying, but you have to understand that it's not real. Number one, I think we had this conversation on the air this week.
So you just said that. Let's pause there.
Yeah.
So if it's not real, how is it going to provide real substantial results that you're wanting?
Well, I think it's more of an educational tool of what are things that can involve our lovemaking that we may not necessarily know that works for both of us. So there, when it comes to adult content, it's broken in and segmented into massive amounts of niche genres because everybody has a fetish. You know, you've got the gangbangs and the BJs, but then you also have a segment of lovemaking and intimacy when it comes to adult content. And I think that aspect of adult content, when viewed together, can help enhance and kind of educate your sexual experience in your bedroom. But
why can't that just be a normal conversation between and groups having conversation, and you saying, you know what, when you eat me out, I need you to also put your finger in this place and
no. I'm with that. I'm with all of it. I'm not saying it's the only tool. I'm just saying it is a tool to, like, hey, here's some things that we may not have known about, and we're kind of educating ourselves when it comes to sex. And does this look like something that maybe we could try to enhance our sex life? I'm not saying it's the only tool, or it's the first place you even have to run. It's just a tool in the toolkit of intimacy and sex. But I think people use it wrong because for whatever frustrations they may have, for whatever they think that, because listen, adult content, especially the raunchy content, the women are paid to act and the men are paid to perform. So nothing of what you're seeing when it comes to gangbangs and the orgies and all this is real. It's real. It's really fake, and it's meant on to kind of capture you for a moment and, you know, create lust. You know, so there is a, when you deal with adult content, you got to be very careful because you can get sucked into it. And I think this guy's gotten sucked into it.
And let me ask you, pornography is solely about lust.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about love.
No.
So if you're in a relationship, lust takes away. It's a selfish act. It doesn't replenish anything. Love actually is a give and take. So why would you want lust in replacement of love?
Well, I don't want lust in replacement of love. I want lust on top of love.
Oh.
Okay, so love is the foundation.
So
but
wait.
Lust is the cherry that's on top.
So you think lust is actually a good thing?
I think lusting for your mate is a good thing. I think that creates a sexual healthy relationship that can benefit you. It's connecting, it's intimacy, it's flirting, it's all of these things for your partner.
See, we can agree to disagree on that because I don't think lust has any positive connotation. I think love is what you're describing as far as what you just mentioned. Lust is totally opposite.
To me, it's a 75-25% balanced, 75% love and 25% lust. You know what I'm saying? And so, like me, my foundation needs to be rooted in love with you. I need to make sure that you're cared for, that you're taken care of, you're emotionally fed, you're spiritually fed. You know what I'm saying? Then there's the physical aspect of it that I want to lust after you because I just love everything about you. There's a certain amount of energy that a woman emits, and that feeds the man's lust. I mean, we're visual creatures, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I would rather lust after my partner than after random women outside of my relationship. I would just save that. And I think that's a part of men that we have inside of us, that women are about love and we have a little bit of lust inside of us.
Yeah.
I think that's just, just breaking down what we are. Let me ask you, as a Black woman, are Black women difficult to deal with?
So I personally don't think that Black women are difficult. I believe that we, just by our experiences and, culture, that we have been raised to create our own power. Whereas other women are taught to manipulate to get power, Black women are taught to create power. And so in that philosophy, Black women tend to be more authentic, direct about their needs, and more honest and forthright, whereas other women tend to go around the bush, kind of manipulate, kind of stroke the ego, you know what I mean? Allow the man to feel like he's in control when really she's kind of manipulating him. Black women don't do that. And so I believe that perception comes across as that she's difficult to be with, when really it goes to show you back to the original thing we were talking about, fake instead of being honest. We prefer people to lie to us, manipulate us, instead of us really dealing with the truth, because sometimes the truth is too hard to bear. We don't want to deal with the vulnerability.
I mean, some of you guys can manipulate me so good, it's ridiculous, to where I'm like, you know what? Ignorance is bliss.
But you know it's true that you rather me tell you, stroke your ego and not really say, I'm having a problem with X, Y, and Z. You won't want me to come that way. You rather me come to you and say, hey, babe, can we go do X, Y, and Z, or you whatever, and kind of avoid the problem and kind of talk around it. That's navigation. And I do believe that there's a purpose. So I don't want to use manipulation in a bad way. I think navigating how we communicate with you all is key, because you all need to feel like you're in control. You do need to feel like you're leading, and you are the leaders. We need to respect you as that, but we also are your helpmeet. So you need us. It's a yin and a yang, and you have to be able to play the role. I don't like to call it a game, but you do have to finagle and learn how to navigate without having bad intentions. Sometimes women can manipulate and have self-centered, selfish intentions. And I think Black women would benefit. And I don't even think it's a Black woman thing necessarily. I think it's a social economical thing. Women of power tend to learn how to navigate conversations. You see it throughout history. The women of power that you see have learned how to navigate conversations with men.
Is it by being submissive? Is it by stroking the ego? Is it by the little bit of manipulation that makes them feel good? To me, that's speaking the man's language.
Yeah.
So maybe I want to be manipulated. You know what I mean? Because it makes me feel good.
so I personally say, first of all, we need to define submission. Submission is giving one the ability to lead and guide, and it goes hand to hand. Actually, both male and female submit to one another.
Yeah.
And so when a woman is able to tap into her femininity and realize that, okay, my man needs to know that I have confidence in him leading, it's a beautiful thing, because once he knows that you are like looking at him like, this is my king, I trust him. And even when you make a mistake and she's like, it's going to be all right, babe, we got it. He will give you any and everything because he values the fact that you trust and honor him.
Well, I talk about this a lot, and I don't know, at least from my run-ins with women, if women really understand how to speak the language of a man. Like, I am learning as I've gotten older how to speak the language of women and how to understand how women talk, because you guys speak sideways. You don't speak, a lot of you guys don't speak direct. You say no in 1,000 different forms, and you got to pick up on it. You got, you know what I'm saying? It took me a while to learn. You got to like, oh, she's saying no.
And when you guys find a woman that does say what she means, y'all like, really?
Well, we're not used to it. You're like, what is it? What? Oh, you know what I'm saying? But there is something in being able to speak the language of men, and I don't know if a lot of women know how to speak the language of a man. A man, at least in my point, I'll give you anything. You know what I'm saying? If I feel that we're partners, if you know how to talk to me, if we can communicate effectively, I will move the fucking earth for you. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if a lot of women really do that, because I think they view submission as a form of weakness, and it's really not really a form of weakness. It's a form of, this is what your partner needs to kind of feel strong. There is a level of energy that a woman can breathe into a man that makes me 10 times stronger, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Like, my job with my woman is to sit there and help her achieve her goals, and do it not because I'm supposed to do it, because I want to do it. Mm-hmm. Because I love this woman. I want to make sure that she is happy and living her best life. And how do I sit there and help her on that?
But the problem happens, Don, is that this is what the problem that happens that I see. Mm-hmm. A woman who knows how to speak the language of a man, and she does these things, but he doesn't reciprocate it. And he's taken, but he doesn't pour back into her. That's when the conflict happens.
Interesting. You're right. You're absolutely right. I don't think on both sides that so when a woman is going to be submissive to you, when she's going to stroke your ego, when she's going to treat you and make you feel like a man, and she's just hitting everything she's doing, she's hitting home within your soul. There's a great responsibility that comes with recognizing that and not abusing that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And recognize that she is going out of her way to sit there and try to feed your soul. You need to do the same thing with her and communicate effectively. Talk to her the way she needs to be talked to, because as men, we use harsh language sometimes, and maybe that shocks you and we don't need to do that. Talk to you when you need to talk to, treat you the way you need to be treated, and give you what you need. And I think this is where the big problems where relationships don't necessarily succeed, is that one person may be doing that, the other person may just be reaping the benefits. We're not both doing that together.
Exactly.
Each other and making sure that each of us feels secure.
And you start to feel levels of resentment and bitterness. And especially, and so when you throw that into this whole bucket of unhealed issues, mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And everyone has different love languages. And if you're not willing to take the time to learn, okay, my love language is words of affirmation, but your love language might be acts of service. But I'm up here giving you words of affirmation and you like that. Okay. And you know what I mean? But I'm thinking you should be grateful because I'm up here thinking I'm giving you the love that you need. But you're like, no, I need some acts of service.
Yeah, I need some booty. That's my the act of service of some booty. That's what I need. You're absolutely right, though. Like we a lot of us tend to have this playbook that we're using for everybody, and it's like you need to take a moment to really understand who you are with and how they receive love. Yes. And if they can't tell you, then work with them on trying to bring that out so that you're giving them what they need, and that they feel like if we're together, I should wake up every morning and be like, damn, I've got the greatest woman, or if you're a woman, I got the greatest man on earth. Because we're so in tune and so in sync with each other, and we are partners and we're looking out for each other.
Exactly.
I don't think a lot of relationships really end up that way. I think we get together because there's a flirtation, there's some sex, or this person looks good on paper, so I'll try to put up with whatever I can put up with because I may be able to, this may move me into another category in life. I mean, it's just nobody's really doing the emotional work of checking in with their partner.
Yes.
So that we're both being fed what we need. Like, relationships are supposed to be beneficial, not real work. At the end.
Well,
of the
because
day.
we're all operating on a lifeline, and we're pretending to be okay when we're all on emergency lifeline. we're all broken and unhealed, and yet we're pretending to be okay.
We are, and it's very sad, but it's just it is what it is. You talk about one of your videos that went viral this week. We're talking about the difference between a little girl and a woman. Mm-hmm. And there is a difference to it. And I think any man, like a woman, will make me want to step my game up. A woman who carries herself as a woman, I'm going to recognize, you can't fake that. I'm going to recognize it because you dress a certain way, you talk a certain way, you've got your emotions in check. And that right there is going to make me like, oh, shit.
I want to step my game up.
I've run into some women like that. And I'm like, God damn, you just make me want to be better at what I do. Like, it's addicting energy. But so what's the difference between a woman and a little girl and a man and a little boy? You know what I'm saying? So that people can learn how to spot these things, because ultimately, if you are a woman or a man, you are working towards bettering yourself and moving a certain way. If you're a little boy, you're just running around with your emotions and reacting off of that. So how does one tell the difference between a man and a little boy and a woman and a little girl?
You basically just hit one of them. A person who's emotionally unstable, and that's looks different between men and women. A woman, when she's emotionally unstable, she can either operate two different ways. An unhealed woman, sometimes she will overly give of herself to the point where she's looking for your approval, and she will do things to somehow get your approval. And when she doesn't get it, she internalizes that as not being worthy or not enough. She will, put herself in a position where she doesn't respect and set boundaries for herself. Or she will be indecisive. She doesn't know exactly what she wants and how she wants it. She's unable to communicate, her goals, her desires, and what that looks like. When with a man, he might not come across visually upfront as emotionally stable. What I see with unhealed men is that they are emotionally unavailable. They do a lot of stonewalling.
When you say emotionally unavailable, what does that mean? Like, when I
say emotionally unavailable,
the women or like, am I not there for you? Like, I've got a rotation going on. Is that
emotionally unavailable? Not just in relationships, but in general. So when I say a man that's unhealed, or a difference between a man and a little boy, he's emotionally unavailable. He is unable to tap into his deep-rooted feelings. And that happens a lot here in this culture, in the Western culture, because you guys are taught to not really be emotional, to not cry, to not, that you're just going to be strong and get over it. Mm-hmm. Men in Eastern, world mindset, you see them cry at funerals, you see them hugging, you see them kiss one another. They have more emotions. So you guys are emotionally deprived over here. So when you're dealing with a little boy, he can't effectively communicate. He can't say, I'm angry because X, Y, and Z. You know what I mean? He's just angry. Then he shuts down. He stonewalls. You know what I mean? He doesn't really know how to lead. You know what I mean? He doesn't have a vision of how he wants his family to operate. When you ask him, what do you see and what's your intentions in this relationship? They don't know what to say the intentions are, because they're operating from a fear, a lack of unsurety in themselves. You see? Right. So that's how you can spot it.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. There is a difference between a man and a woman, and a little boy and a little girl. That's very interesting. Let me ask you: how can a man show respect to a woman? What does that look like for a woman? Like how as a woman do you want a man to show up in your life?
So I think, the Bible said it best. Men want respect and women want love. You don't see a lot of women, unless they have some type of masculine energy, say, I want you to respect me. Majority of women will say, I need you to love me. And so how that is demonstrated is being aware. Women are emotionally, we like to be emotionally connected. And so we like men to be able to tap in and check on us, and say, how are you doing? Just out of the blue, or actually ask us questions about our day, not be our necessarily, a lot of immature men will say, well, you want us to think like a woman. You want us to be your best friend. No, we're not asking that. But we do want you to seem interested in our heart.
What, you want the good morning text? Is that what you want? I saw a video of an
afternoon text and the evening.
I saw a message that this woman was on a podcast. She was like, "Miss me with the good morning text, grand rising queen, all that bullshit. Say that for somebody else. I don't want none of that." Listen, I appreciate a whole "Hey, hello, handsome, how you doing?" text. Like I appreciate you thinking about me, but maybe it's where I am in life compared to where this other woman was in life. I'm all about.
You know why she probably said that? Because this is why she probably said that. When you're a woman, and especially if you are in high demand or you have multiple men texting you good morning, nobody has time to be saying good morning to 15 dudes in their DM. I mean, at some point you're going to have some real conversation. So when we say kill me with the good morning, that's good and all, but that's where I'm saying, where's the heart of the message? Ask me, hey, did anything challenging happen to you today? What's heavy on your heart today? How can I help you or give you some encouraging words? I see you you're on your grind, you're hustling. I just want to tell you that I'm proud of you. Those type of things is another level to communication instead of good morning, good rising. Like nobody want to hear that every single daggone day.
Grand rising queen. I know you're about to get your business on today. Just letting you know.
Yeah, nobody wants to hear that every single day. I want some real dialogue and conversation.
A little bit more substance when it comes to dealing with the text messages. Let me ask you a question. What does a healthy sex life look like for couples or people in relationships, period? I mean, should you be banging your brains out every week or is it too much? I don't know.
Every couple is very different. But I will say, women, we got that one time a month. We already know. So that already X's out how many days. And depending on the age of your woman, when you get to 40s, you don't know if you having 2 times a month out of the month. It starts to get wacky tobacco. So
really? I found women in their 40s are just like, they've got this sex drive that's ridiculous. I don't know.
We do.
And I'm like, leave me alone. Like I'm just chill, bro.
We do. And that's another video that I posted while young men trying to come for us older women. You know what I'm saying? But I think a healthy sexual relationship, it's that takes communication. What is enough, in your relationships? Heck, some people want 3 times a day. If you can give 3 times a day, then, and it's not taxing on you, then go for it, But at the same time, we know foreplay is something that has to happen for women. It starts from the moment you wake up. You know what I'm saying? The kiss on the neck and the kitchen, all that type of stuff.
Okay, so let's talk about foreplay. What does foreplay look? Because you're educating men here because we're stupid. I mean, I've got 1 or 2 good moves in the bedroom, and that's pretty much it. A third possible on a good day. What does foreplay look like for a woman? What is it? Because to us, it's kind of like, maybe I'm supposed to go down on you or all this other stuff. But I think foreplay is a lot wider than these mechanical aspects of it. Like you say, good morning text, maybe a pat on the butt, you know, a little flirtatious throughout the day. Like, is all that considered foreplay?
All that is considered foreplay. I think a lot of people sleep on the fact that a lot of nonverbals can play into this. Like getting up in the morning and, you know, if my husband's in the restroom or whatever, just coming up behind him and kissing him on the neck. Mm-hmm. Same way, but if my dude does that to me, it's like, okay, I just rolled out of bed looking a hot, complete mess. Yeah. Probably my morning breath is fire, but you come, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's those little bitty things. Or, you know, before I'm leaving to work and you give me a kiss and say, you know, just want you to have a great day, blah, blah, blah. Those little bitty things, just like when you guys come home from work, you want us to be like that little puppy at the door, like, oh my God, my man is here. You know what I'm saying?
I've had that. And I was working at a stressful job, and my woman used to do that, and I would push her away, and it kind of ruined our relationship because she felt like I was rejecting her when I just needed a moment. But I do appreciate that level of cheerleading when I come. You know what I'm saying? I've also had women tell me they want to role play for, I guess, foreplay, which is very interesting. You know, I created this character named Tyrone, who's a roughneck. You know what I'm saying? He walks around with Timberlands and his shirt off. You know what I'm saying? I do pull-ups on the street post. You know, that's me. But foreplay, I think, is a very important thing. And I think it's something that you need to explore with your mate.
Yeah.
To find out what really works for you at the end of the day and what doesn't really work for you, and kind of live in that zone of foreplay throughout the week. I think it's a good and healthy thing. Well, we've talked about a lot, man. And I just want to sit there and talk about what you're getting ready to do. You're launching your website. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Bianca L Gibson. She is an amazing mother to 4 beautiful kids. She's a social and emotional wellness speaker with a special focus on practical healing. You are launching your website on is it the 25th?
It's the 25th, yes.
Okay. So what's going to be happening when you launch the website? Because I know you've got a 30-day challenge that's going on here. You've got the 2 courses that are going to be going on here. What are you going to be offering, and what can people do when we look forward to seeing your site launches?
Thanks for asking. So the main thing for my website, we have life empowerment workshops where I teach people how to discover their childhood traumas, learn to discover who they are. I have a great workshop with learning how to forgive people.
Wow.
You know, learning to forgive people is a huge, huge stronghold that so many people are holding on to, unforgiveness and bitterness, and it affects their whole relationships, both personal, work relationships. So those workshops, you know, I will be launching, and it'll be very good, both on Zoom. And we also will offer it in person. And then I have self-led free class, a free freedom appointment class where people can walk through resolving personal conflicts and issues in their life. It takes you through 7 steps of freedom. We also have mentoring. So a part of my programs is to go into the schools and teach kids. I think kids are our future.
Absolutely.
If we can go into schools and teach them, especially in the urban school system, teach them how to apply and figure out, okay, I'm feeling angry. What should I do? At an early age, they will be awesome adults, you know, being able to find the way to heal themselves at an early age. So,
wow. So all this is going to be dropping on the 25th on Christmas.
Yes.
When the site launches, basically, if they want to find you right now, Bianca L Gibson on TikTok, YouTube, and it's Bianca L Gibson FIY on Instagram.
Right? On Instagram.
On Instagram, there are links in your bio that you can go check out. You know, one last question I want to leave you from one of your videos that I saw, where it said a woman can help a man heal from his trauma.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to expound upon that. Like, what does that mean? Like, if we're in a relationship and you see that maybe I'm having a hard time accepting gifts, you can help me heal from that, or are you providing a safe space that allows me to grow out of that trauma? Like, how can a woman help a man heal from trauma?
So many ways. I don't know if women realize amount of power we really have.
Outside of your vagina, I do want to say it's a lot of power outside of your vagina.
Yes, a lot. Just our love, and the God created us to be nurturers, you know. So the way that a woman can heal a man is giving him a safe place to be himself, to be able to be emotional, because first of all, you guys are taught not to have emotions, to be able to be honest, to be able to be direct without us getting emotional. Sometimes when men communicate how they feel, we women get in our feelings and like, dang, he said that too sharp to me. Mm-hmm. And then we make it about us ourselves. But a woman that's able to allow a man to be who he is and in his authentic self, that in itself will cause him to heal, because he then will be able to operate in honesty and truth. And you can share with him, okay, if you're not able to receive, why are you not able to receive? Now you get them opening to talk about those emotions and dig deep into those vulnerable emotions to heal the lies that they've been teaching themselves all this time.
You know, I forgot to mention this. There is a link in the description if you guys want to catch in or check in with the show. I'm going to bring somebody in here, and his name is it Rads? Is that your name, Rads?
Hey, Dawn. Hey, Bianca.
Hey.
Yeah. Do you have a question or?
I have a disagreement, if I can put it that way.
Okay. Come on, bring it on. Let's go.
It's I've actually been following the conversation, and I've been listening to Bianca, and she says that women can help men heal, and I don't believe that unless the man has a plan to heal, or unless unless the man, then I don't think you or anyone should be wasting their time with that man, because if he's broken and he doesn't want to do anything about it, that's just how he be. And you, the person who's trying to change that person, will just be frustrating yourself. That's really how I see it.
All right.
First, I want to say that I agree with what you're saying, the content of what you're saying. You can't force someone to heal, but if a person is willing to be open, you can help them. You can walk alongside them, but no, you cannot force someone to want to heal. And some of us will waste our life and energy trying to get someone to heal and recognize, and we've been spending a lifetime. So that's not what I'm referring to. I'm not referring to that type of situation. What I'm referring to is a person who is actually seeking to grow, seeking to heal, and they have a mate that's willing to walk alongside of them and be patient and giving unconditional love.
Yeah.
Oh. No, I must have heard you.
No. But it's I think you do have to put parameters around that type of situation, because, you know, like Red said, you know, he's right as far as you cannot heal someone who's not really trying to work, but having a partner alongside of you that is that will walk hand in hand, that will recognize when you're looking deep inside yourself, to sit there and say, I need to fix this. I'm feeling some type of way. I want my relationship to be healthier. I want my life to be healthier. I don't want to be a negative person. I want to be able to accept gifts. I want to be able to feel love. You know what I'm saying? And you have a partner that helps support you with that. To me, that's the best thing. I think that's why we're put on this earth. You know, these interactions. To me, that's a perfect relationship, you know, because I don't think we do enough of that. I think we are there in relationships, but we're just not really tuned in and present. And I think that's one of the reasons why you may be with someone but feel so alone at the end of the day.
We were not created to be alone.
No, it says it in the Bible.
We are not, and there's no lone soldiers. Even your own body, your heart can't operate without the liver. Mm-hmm. Your feet can't operate without the ankle. And so we need one another. And until we understand that wholly and really embrace that we do really need one another, we got to forgive, get over these bitterness, this drama, and learn how to want each other's help.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so this has been an amazing conversation. I want to thank you so much for number one, keep making the videos that you're doing.
Thank you.
Because I think a lot of people need to hear a lot of the information that you're putting out there. And it's not geared towards man or woman, or it's a lot of generalized information that is for everybody. So I don't want to make it seem like you're bashing on men or bashing on women. This is about healing and trying to fix your life and take your life to another level. So take the information that you're putting out there from that standpoint. Follow Bianca on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok and YouTube. The
Thank you.
The site's going to be registering. There is a link to all her to your socials in here. There's a link to your website, the contact page if they want to book you or reach out to you inside the URL of wherever you're seeing this video. And I can't wait to see what the future has in store for you. This has been an amazing conversation. You have a lot to offer.
Thank you.
And I thank you so much for sharing. I think that from a man's standpoint, hearing the things that you talk about, and some people may not really understand it, but you're coming from a place of being a woman who is trying to not compete with a man, but help a man. And so that's the way I receive a lot of your information. And I think it's great. And I think there needs to be more of this dialogue out there because I don't think we're speaking very clearly to each other at the end of the day. We're just talking at each other.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to leave? You got anything else that I don't know about that you're working on at all?
No, I just appreciate the fact that you give me the opportunity to have a voice, and I'm so thankful. And I encourage both you and others to continue on the journey, because the healing is not a destination. It is a journey.
In the words of Nipsey Hussle, it's a marathon. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
This is a lifelong thing. And that's where I look at life, is that I am constantly evolving and working every single day. And I fail like a lot of people, but I am trying to better myself. I'm trying to evolve my intelligence, evolve my emotional IQ, evolve my communication so that I become a better human being, not only for myself, but for the people I interact with. And that's just who I want to be. So Bianca, thank you so much for spending some time on the Sunday. I'm going to leave this up here. Make sure you go to her TikTok, YouTube, support this woman. I do smell a book coming in the future. I can almost say,
yes.
And listen, when the book comes out, or you have anything else to talk about, as always, you're welcome on the show.
Thank you.
Get to have another conversation. Bianca L Gibson, thank you so much for hanging out with us. All right, so listen, one last thing before I let you guys go. Make sure you download the KBLA app if you haven't downloaded from the Google Play Store, Apple App Store. Support the radio station. And thank you so much for all of you guys who've showed so much love to KBLA here in Los Angeles. Another Whiskey Kind of Day is going to be coming up before the end of the year. And you guys have an amazing weekend. I'll talk to you soon.